Let's go down to Big 12 country.
This was a heavyweight battle here in Austin. But tonight, the man in the purple trunks won. TCU 17, Texas 10.
You know how in prize fights, I'll just take off on the prize fight analogy. Sometimes it's like how the guys enter the ring and you're like, oh, he's going to get beat. Well, all week I'm like, yeah, Texas is going to win. And then I saw Sark's suit that he wore to the game. And I was like, oh, TCU's definitely going to win. So TCU goes to 10-0. Man, that's a fun program. And I got to tell you, after last week's game, when we actually did the TCU game against Texas Tech, it was so great to be down there around their fan base and around their program. You know, talking with Max, we talked with Kendre Miller. Their offensive line's really good. Love their coaching staff. Talking with Garrett Riley, by the way, is like you close your eyes and it's like, oh, is Lincoln in the room? Nope, it's Garrett Riley. And yet, like, all of that positive sentiment, and you know that I've defended TCU on this program, right? You guys know that have listened to this. And yet, even now, I'm sitting here, and after Saturday and that win over Texas, my feelings about TCU have changed just a little bit. Just a little bit. I always loved them, right? And I loved how well they were playing. I loved the gritty nature with which their quarterback, Max Duggan, played, a rugged style of quarterbacking, coming back in games, getting it done. In a Big 12 that there was no great elite teams. They were out there getting it done, right? All this stuff. And my feelings have changed a little bit in a positive direction. I got to admit, there was a feeling of Cinderella around TCU for me. And there was a feeling like, this is awesome. What a great story, but I don't know if they can actually finish it. And after Saturday, that changed because they showed some things to me and I think others that should make us sit back and believe in them long term. I don't think that this is a Cinderella anymore. I think TCU is much more legit than we maybe gave them credit for. I know that I argued that they deserved to be ranked higher, right? And I've always argued for teams that deserved to be ranked higher. I've always believed that you should be able to earn your way to the college football playoff and that it should not just be a beauty contest. But let's face it, right? Like, in a beauty contest, they weren't going to win. But when you put them on the field, like, they're developing into a great team. Offensively, we know that they're a great team. I know that they didn't blow the doors off of Texas offensively, but I know that Max Duggan can take care of the football, come back in games, run, throw it down the field. He's throwing it down the field for explosive plays as well as anybody in college football. Quentin Johnston, he's one of the best receivers in the sport, okay? Down the field, he's as good a target as there is out there. Kendre Miller, he's an NFL back. He is a great player, slashing style back, hard to tackle, catches it well out of the backfield. Their offensive line is big, physical, veteran offensive line. And in the back of my mind, I was like, someone's going to beat them because the defense is just, the defense is just not that great. And then all of a sudden, Saturday happened. And the defense, they pulled something out of themselves that we just haven't seen so far this year. I don't think it's an anomaly, though, and I'll get to that in a moment. But think about what they did against Texas. Texas is a good offense, folks, and they scored 3 offensive points. TCU held them to under 200 yards. And when you look at the best player on the opposite side, Bijan Robinson, a guy that I think is one of the better players in the entire country, he was held to 29 yards on 12 carries. 29 yards. Wow. Right? Quinn Ewers looked inept. Awful. That's probably a whole nother podcast in the offseason for Quinn Ewers. So here's this team in TCU that has an offense that I know is really good. And now they have a defense that has that in them to go in there and play to that level on the road. I think we need to start to legitimately wrap our heads around the fact that TCU could likely be in the college football playoff. Because they're not a Cinderella anymore. This is not a team that is on a great run. After Saturday and the way the defense played and what we know about their offense, we need to start wrapping our heads around the fact that they are the best team in the Big 12. They will be and should be favored in the rest of their games. And if they are undefeated and a Big 12 champ, they're going to the playoff. And rightly so. And rightly so. Sonny Dykes has done a marvelous job with the Horned Frogs. Max Duggan has done a marvelous job. They've got really good talent on that offense. And now a defense that is starting to stretch out their quality play. Here's why we maybe have undersold their defense, is that you've seen during the course of games, they would get 3, 4, 5, 6 stops in a row and allow their offense to come back. So that's how they were able to overcome a lot of those double-digit deficits that they had earlier in the season, right? To teams like, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, those type of games. So the defense in moments and stretches during the course of the year, they had it in them to go get stops. But what we hadn't seen them do is put that together from start to finish, right? From jump street to zeros. And they did that on Saturday. And so now that it's like, okay, you got that club in your bag, well, then you're the best team in the Big 12. So now you've got to go take care of business in what is, can only be stated as your rivalry game on the road against Baylor. You got to take care of business in the conference and then go into that Big 12 championship game, and you got 60 minutes to go to the playoff. And anybody in the sport would take that. You take it. From Georgia to Alabama to TCU, you tell a team and their head coach and their fan base at the beginning of the year that you're going to be in a conference championship game. You got 60 minutes of football. If you win, you're in. You're like, absolutely, sign me up. And that's where TCU is likely going to be because they are the best team in the Big 12. And we should have seen this. Quick thoughts on the other side, Texas. Stop me. Just stop me. Somebody, hold me down. I don't know. Slap me. Please don't slap me. Especially if you're a stranger. That would be awkward in an airport. But just be like, don't do it. If you see me out anywhere, don't do it. Don't do what, Joel? What are you trying to... Please prevent me from getting on the Texas bandwagon until it actually happens. Okay? What are we doing? What are we doing? Year after year, I do this and I'm like, well, it's a talented roster. I believe in the coaching staff. I believe in a lot of their players. And it's like they don't protect their home field. They're now, 11-6 on their home turf in the last 3 years? Come on. So just stop me. Just be like, don't do it. Don't do what? Don't buy into Texas. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm the guy, right? Listen, I can say this because I've been at this point in my life where it's like, and I am 11 years sober, but it's like, you wake up in college and you're like, oh, I'm never drinking again. And then that night you're like, hey, who's picking up the 30 pack of Stones? I've been there, right? I've been there. But this one, it's like, nope, I'm off. I'm swearing off the hard stuff forever. Unless you prove it, Texas, I'm sorry. I'm not going to go there. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.